in which the security cameras were too observant. This one is a little different from my previous recollections to this forum, as it doesn't involve my workplace directly. You see, the other, not John, owner of the company I work for, is a crafty man. Let's call him Harold because he looks like a herald. Think my cousin Vinny with a head of glorious white hair. Harold would much prefer to trade services whenever possible rather than pay for things he needs. As technology seems to be the most elusive facet of modern life for those who remember black and white TV, my services are frequently the outgoing half of any given barter. Having graduated high school before the moon had footprints, Harold's factory warranty has long since expired, and as such he has a close relationship with various medical practitioners in the area. One of his favorites is another man of a certain age who also has a predilection for the bartering of services. In this case, I had recently spearheaded a project at our office to install a new security camera and DVR system that Harold was absolutely blown away by, and which he lovingly described as the cat's behind to all of his friends, including the doctor in question. When it came time for another procedure, the doctor was more than happy to accept a new camera system in lieu of payment from Harold. And so it begins. Cast, $me, no recommendation 8630 himself, in the flesh. Certified IT adventurer. Harold, a boss of mine, part owner of the company. Reasonable, funny, generous, wonderful to work for. Absolutely the anti-John. Doctor, self-explanatory. Just a really good guy. As long as the things do the stuff, he's happy as a clam. TK, the doctor's wife. Henceforth known as Turbo Karen. Probably sitting home right now drafting complaints about things that haven't happened yet, just in case. The event, Part 1, I'd place this around mid-spring, 2018. I can't be sure as the seasons tend to blur together somewhat, but it was definitely between Rose's bank and John's monitors, and I vividly remember the car I was driving at the time. Harold called me into his office to explain the scope of what I'd been lent out to do, and added that I'd need to order a security camera system similar to what we had but without all the pomp and circumstance because the doctor wouldn't need or use the majority of the features we had. Then came the budget for the project, which was about 10% of the number that was rattling around in my head, causing a modicum of unease. I found a suitable system, albeit from a vendor I'd never heard of, and placed the order hoping against hope that it wouldn't be too off-brand. It arrived a couple of weeks later and Harold passed it on to one of our electricians to do the actual installation, running the Cat5 cables through the drop ceilings, mounting the cameras and all that. My part would come later when it came time for configuration. Like a good library book, I happily went where I was checked out when the time came. I packed a go bag with network testing tools, my diagnostic laptop and some other nonsense just in case. Jumped in my car and made the 30-minute drive from our office to a beautiful mid-century modern glass and stone doctor's office in a nearby affluent suburb. A very confused but lovely receptionist retrieved the doctor for me, and I met the man who may as well have been Mr. Rogers. A much more hip Mr. Rogers, clean cut and proper but dripping with that English professor at a coffee shop vibe. The kind of guy you see rounding a corner down the hall and just intrinsically trust. Beneath his white coat was a spotless pair of well-pleated khakis and a navy blue v-neck knit sweater that I'd bet had leather elbows to match his shoes. His smile was bright, his manner calm and his small talk effortless. Doctor, hey me, thanks for coming. I'm excited to have this up and running. We don't need it in this neighborhood but hey, peace of mind right? Me, no problem, Doc, happy to be here. Can you please show me where they put the DVR? Down a brightly lit corridor we went, past a row of windows overlooking the parking lot. Doctor, that your Beamer out there? We chatted about cars for a moment as we arrived at a nondescript closet at the end of the hall, the doc eventually leaving me to it with a cheerful wander and find me if you need anything, help yourself to coffee and snacks in the break room down the hall. Step 1, open the user's guide. And my heart hit the floor. On the first page was a pictogram of a camera with a sad face, dripping, and a caption something like Figure 1. It is badly making if connections to camera is wetness. Fantastic. Splendid. This system is indeed very off-brand. Praying to any given deity that I wouldn't need to reference this lovely piece of literature any further, tasty foreshadowing, I dove straight into the menus. DHCP is working, IP addressing seems okay, all the cameras are there. Standard recording rules are fine, etc. Satisfied, I retrieved some appreciated coffee from the break room and wandered to find the doctor for the last part of the process, the interface software itself. It installed effortlessly on his office PC, found the DVR on the network and all seemed well. I gave Doctor a quick crash course in live monitoring and playback, installed TeamViewer for future troubleshooting, made a note of his ID and gave him my card to call with any questions. Wrapping up a textbook open and shut deployment, I mentally patted myself on the back while stowing my laptop back in its bag and wondering casually if the doctor might tip. When suddenly, just outside the half-closed door, I couldn't help but to hear an exchanging of words. Doctor, really $TK, I'm not sure why we need that at all. $TK, what good is a security system if you can't watch it from everywhere? The door opened and revealed my nightmare. Flashbacks from my time in retail hit so hard I was briefly dizzy. There stood the Karen est Karen to ever demand parley with management. Reverse graduated bob haircut? Check. Obvious, symmetrical highlights? Check. Adorned with enough diamonds and gold to make the Maharaja blush and wearing a blouse worth more than my monthly grocery spend, $TK strutted into the room and extended her hand with the most sickly sweet yet threatening smile I'd ever seen. $TK, hi, $me, I'm $TK and I have some concerns about this system. Doctor tells me you haven't installed anything on his phone and I'm curious why that would be. Me, oh, honestly no worries, no one requested remote viewing so I was under the impression this would be a local installation only. I'd be happy to take care of that for you. This was not at all an unreasonable ask from her, it was just outside what I understood to be the scope of work. With a twitch of the wrist and the jingle of a stack of bracelets, she produced a Swarovski-encrusted iPhone and thrust it into my hands. I got to work installing and configuring the remote viewing app. This took far longer than it should have due to the system's excellent documentation, and culminated in a call to Doctor's MSP to have the requisite ports forwarded, allowing remote access to the DVR. Of course $TK sat across from me with an expression growing more sour by the second, her dagger eyes digging progressively more deeply into my soul as I fiddled with her phone. Each time I paused to consult the worthless user manual, her phone would lock itself. Each time she unlocked it with a jingle and a sigh. Avoiding eye contact, I repeated the process for Doctor's password-free phone with significantly less difficulty and we were off to the races. Me, I was here representing Harold so customer service had to be perfect. Okay $TK, here are your phones back, you guys are all set. Doctor has my card if you need anything else. $TK thanked me with a cold, jingly handshake and a facial expression that did not match her words. Before she could think of anything else to say, ask or do, I hastily collected my things and made my escape. It was over, or so I thought. The event, Part 2, a couple of weeks later, my phone rang a number I did not recognize. It was Doctor, and he was whispering. Doctor, hey me, sorry to bother you man but I really need your help. She's watching me. Me, watching you? Who's watching you? Doctor, $TK. She sits at home and watches. She texts and asks about this and that, calls my staff asking how many breaks they've taken, accuses me of standing too close to the front desk girls. It's unsettling and disruptive. Is there anything you can do to turn these cameras off during the day? Me, suddenly understanding why his phone was the one without the password lock, honestly I'm not sure. I've never tried to outsmart one of these systems before. They're designed to be pretty people-proof. Let me get back to you. Cue a few hours of frantic research and brainstorming. Does the wonderfully translated product documentation have any information on this? No. Can I program the DVR to shut off or disable remote viewing on a schedule? Of course not, that doesn't make sense. Can I set up access rules for this device on the network? No, their MSP was hardly willing to forward ports for me and I shuddered at the thought of explaining all of this to them. Can I put the DVR on a timer? No, someone would have to manually turn it back on every night and the hard shutdowns wouldn't be good for the drive. Then it hit me. I can put its connection on a timer. I rang Doctor. Me, Doc, I have an idea. It's probably not the most elegant solution but I've got the stuff I need in stock. I can be there in 30 minutes if that's okay. Doctor, still whispering, she's here. Can I call you when she leaves? Me, just send a text and I'll head over the second I get it. I explained the situation to Harold and received clearance from the tower to make it work. We shared a chuckle about $TK and about the delightful simplicity of my plan. My decision to take my go bag with me to lunch proved prudent, as Doctor called back 2 bites shy of the end of my burrito. Doctor, she's gone, are you free? Me, on my way. This time, the receptionist skipped the confusion and led me straight to the closet where the DVR lived. I retrieved a programmable timer and a cheapo 5-port gigabit switch from my bag, installed them behind the DVR and configured the timer to turn on at 5:01 p.m. and off at 6:59 a.m. daily. Was that a jingle from the hallway? The glint of a diamond in my peripheral? No, I assured myself, you're being paranoid. I ran the network cable for the DVR through the switch end, expecting $TK to pop out from behind any door or materialize from any shadow, hastily packed up and went to find $Doctor. Me, $Doctor, may I see your phone please? $Doctor handed me his phone and watched as I tapped the app for the cameras. Unable to connect to device. Perfect. We went back to the DVR closet, I clicked the manual override button on the timer, and the little switch flashed to life. Seconds later, the camera feeds presented themselves on Doctor's phone. Click the override once again, the lights go out and unable to connect to device. Me, the DVR will still record to the hard drive while this device is inactive in case something happens and you need the footage, but remote viewing will only work at night when you aren't here. Tell $TK there was a software update for security or something. Doctor, no problem, I plan to make something up about HIPAA regulations. Thank you so much for all your help. Come see me first if you ever have medical needs. Unlike TK's, Doctor's handshakes and facial expressions effortlessly matched his words. And it turns out Doctor is an excellent tipper, just not when TK is around.